Well, this is getting to be worrying. Government shutdown is showing no signs of ending. And personally, I think we all know why the government shutdown is happening. I think we all know why they don't want to end the government shutdown. And I think it's the Epstein files. I think that's why. For those that are unfamiliar, Congress is holding a vote that requires a single solitary yes vote remaining to succeed. And that vote is for a forced inquisition into all of the data, all of the files and documentation, unredacted, that the US government has on Epstein. That's right. Congress is forcing a vote, led by Democrats. They are forcing a vote on the release of the unredacted full Epstein files. No bullshit, no half release, no quarter or 10% release like Trump wants to do, or the GOP wants to do, where they censor out everybody they don't want to be seen in there. Full, uncensored, complete release of the Epstein files, including information that Congress knows the US government has, that the White House denies it even exists, such as a client list. We know one exists, and yet the White House continues to deny it, as do the DOJ and the other institutions that are supposed to catalog and investigate the information that they have. So with that in mind, what is the deal with this vote? Why is it one vote short, and what does that have to do with the shutdown? Well, just be a little patient. That vote is one short, and it's pretty much all Democrats voting yes on releasing the Epstein files, with a handful of Republicans joining them, such as Marjorie Taylor Greene. But they just need one more vote, and the person who's agreed to give that vote is a Democrat who just won her Congress run and is waiting to be approved. When the government is open, they can approve her position, she can cast the vote that she has pledged to be yes, and boom, the Epstein files are out. I think we all know that if the Epstein files drop, which is what the Democrats are pushing for, Trump is done. Sure, Clinton might be in there, a bunch of other people that were used to be prominent Democrats might be in there. I'm sure that'll suck, as they'll use it to attack the whole left or whatever, but Trump is the current right-wing king, the president of the country, and he and Epstein were closer than many others. The amount of stuff that's going to come out about him if the Epstein files release is going to be game-changing, and he is desperate. The GOP, the Republicans, Trump's White House are desperate to keep the government shut down, because if it opens back up, that day, another Democrat enters Congress, and they succeed on that vote, and the Epstein files are out, and Trump's political career, and the Republicans with him are fucked. If you're wondering why are so many people struggling right now through this shutdown, it's because Trump is literally pulling every single trick out of the bag to keep the Epstein files from going public. And this is his most desperate move, starving Americans by keeping SNAP and other benefits from them in order to pressure the Democrats into dropping the idea of bringing the government back up. Maybe even dropping the idea of trying to get the Epstein files out. It is super blatantly evil what they are doing. What Trump is doing. So bad, in fact, that Hank Green, one of the most respected educational content creators on the internet, put out a video called "This Shutdown is Different." There have been many shutdowns before of the government. I remember the first one I ever heard of. I was in the backseat of the car listening to the radio on the way to school. I was in elementary school, and the news was talking about the government being shut down, and I'm just sitting there like freaking the fuck out in the back seat, thinking it's like, it's all over, America's done. Like, I'm witnessing the fall of the world's most powerful nation right now. My mom's just driving me to school like nothing's wrong, and the news guys are just talking about it like it's a Sunday, like any other Tuesday, and I'm just like, what the fuck? What? I had to ask my mom, like, is it over? Like, are we cooked? The government shut down? And she was like, no, it's not that big a deal. And normally it wasn't. Like, yeah, it sucked when the government shut down in the past, but barring a few problematic aspects, most of the most important jobs and programs have been funded through government shutdowns in the past. So even when the government shut down, a lot of the government services are still funded and they're still active. This time around, however, completely different. Even Hank Green, who is not really a politically partisan person with his content, is coming out to say, this shutdown is blatantly being done to hurt Americans and to distract from the Epstein files, and it is being done cruelly. I'm really excited for us to check out this video. I actually watched it beforehand. This is a bit of a pre-watched thing. I'm going to encourage you guys to watch the large majority of it on your own time, particularly his interview he has with the head of a program that is designed around collecting food that is deemed not pretty enough for grocery store shelves in America and would just get thrown away for looking ugly, and to distribute that to people who are hungry. and not have that food go to waste. Instead, it gets to be eaten by people who need it. And I really like the video. I highly recommend you check out that interview, but, you know, I want you guys to go see that on your own time. As for the reporting from Hank Green and his rhetoric, that is what I want to talk about here. Now, if you end up enjoying this video, consider leaving a like and a comment down below. Consider hyping and subscribing. It really does help a lot. My channel appreciates every bit of support you guys send to it, I assure you, as do I. Without any further ado, let's get right into it. All right, Hank Green, tell us how this government shutdown is different than the others.
This government shutdown is different. Government shutdowns happen for like a really dumb, weird reason, which is that there's like no way to do anything anymore. And so one of the only opportunities for there to be power exercised by Congress is during the passing of a budget. And so budgets become these big fights. But in the US, when the federal government shuts down, it's because of a political standoff. You need people from the other party to vote for the budget, and the other party says no, and we can't fund the government without a budget, so the government shuts down. It's a political standoff.
I will say, it sounds like this is a flaw in America's design, but fundamentally, the fact that there has to be an approval of a budget is a pretty good thing, considering that right now, the Republicans would be using any majority power they could to just force things through the budget, which they've done a couple times, but not consistently. We'd be seeing that a lot more if there weren't certain safeguards set up. So I talk about how bad things are because there are no guardrails for Trump. The guardrails are more of a suggestion, and most of the time they stay somewhat within them, not because they literally can't pass those guardrails, but because they don't want to be seen passing them too often. Because they do still need to explain themselves in a way that their really low IQ voter base can defend them with. You know, they got to be capable of understanding how when Trump does it, it's okay.
One side wants to do it one way, the other side wants to do it the other way, and the government becomes the collateral damage in a tug of war over policy. And nobody wants this. It happens, and it often has a bunch of dramatic speeches, and people scramble to fund the programs that matter the most in the meantime. But this one has gone on for a very long time. But also, there's like a reason underneath why it's gone on for such a long time. And also why
Epstein
a lot of
files.
the most important programs of the federal government aren't being funded. So Democrats are trying to be like laser focused on this single specific demand that the government still provides healthcare subsidies, because if that stopped, a lot of people's healthcare premiums would more than double. And for sure, the Republicans...
Like, it is so crazy to me how much the Republicans are still getting away with the false narrative that the Democrats are in favor of the shutdown, they're behind it even, and that they're the ones that are forcing the budget for these programs to run out, as the Democrats furiously fight them publicly on our Capitol, like the Republicans, to get that stuff funded. But as long as the Republicans, after all that political battling on the Capitol, can go on Fox News and speak to millions more people than any of the other politicians could when they go on CNN that night, the fact they get to go on Fox News and talk to the largest audience in America means whatever that Republican says, no matter how opposite of the truth it is, that's what people believe. Remember, Fox News is the most watched network in America, both on YouTube. It is the most watched political channel, period, is Fox News' YouTube channel, as well as it being the most watched network in America, and it's not even close. It's like several times larger than, like, second place. Fox News is literally too big to fail.
The Republican Party doesn't want to do that. But also, to be totally honest, it seems a little bit like some parts of the Republican Party like that the government is shut down. And so there's like an asymmetric leverage thing going on here, where the Democrats really want one thing changed and they really want the government to come back, and the Republicans don't want that one thing changed and they kind of don't want the government to come back. Now, I think that the government will eventually come back. This is very dumb. But it's weird that it seems like some people are like kind of pro shutdown, because shutdowns are deeply unpopular. They cost way more money than they save. They hurt real people. They hurt politicians. They hurt political parties. I was talking to a friend of mine.
Well, that's the thing, though, Hank. They are unpopular. They do hurt people. And in a perfect world, that would motivate voters to vote the opposite of the guys who do that all the time every single election. In reality, though, We live in a world where Fox News, the gaslighting network, as Doritos said, is the #1 most watched network in America. Their YouTube channel, the most watched political and news channel in the world, online. And so whatever Fox News frames the situation as is how people perceive it. So yes, it's going to cause hurt. Yes, people are going to go hungry, but they're not going to just instantly know who was actually responsible. They have to find out who's responsible through any number of different means. But if they are a watcher of Fox News, like most of America is, they're going to believe what Fox tells them. And Fox is going to blame it on the people who are actively trying to help them, while making excuses for the people that actually did hurt them.
That helps run an organization, that helps people get food. And I asked her if this shutdown felt different to her. And she said something that snapped me out of my analytical politics brain for a second. She immediately answered, yeah, this one feels mean. It feels intentionally cruel. It definitely feels intentionally intentional. You might not be surprised to hear that ICE is still funded during the shutdown. But you might actually be surprised to hear that SNAP has been funded during previous government shutdowns, which indicates to me that it can be. It just isn't right now. SNAP helps feed over 40 million Americans. That's more than 10% of America every month. It is efficient, it's targeted, it does a tremendous amount of good for a
He brings this data up later on, but it's literally half of Americans will at some point in their life use the SNAP program to feed themselves. Or no, will live in a household where someone there uses SNAP. And so it is unbelievably common. Half of the country has had some proximity to the SNAP or food stamps program. So this shutdown of funding is going to impact a lot of people, and even the people it doesn't directly impact, a lot of those people are going to know people that it impacts, and those people are going to be close to them. They're going to be people they care about. And so the fact that they're going hungry, as long as they don't end up being convinced the Democrats are behind it again, they're going to hopefully identify the actual culprits, the Republicans, who refuse to reopen the government because they don't want to let their president get outed for being a pedophile. And they're going to be like, wow, okay, fuck Trump, fuck the Republicans, we're never voting for these guys ever again. You've lost our vote literally forever, and that is the last thing that Republicans want.
Relatively small amount of money. More than 80% of SNAP recipients are households with children. In every previous shutdown, SNAP has been protected.
God, nothing is going to make people angry and radicalized more than seeing their children hungry, especially going into winter break. It's going to be cold, the kids aren't going to have school, so they're not going to be getting school lunch, and their kids are going to be hungry, and they are literally not going to have enough food or money to feed themselves or their kids. They're just going to have to say, I'm sorry, we got to wait till more money comes in. We literally can't eat. We're going to have to go to a soup kitchen or a shelter or something. That is going to be the situation for a lot of people. That is something that is going to radicalize people immensely. Dude, no SNAP right before Thanksgiving, too. Are you guys ready to see the biggest blue wave ever in the midterms? I am so excited for our live streams covering the midterms. I am pretty certain we are going to see a blue wave, an overperformance from the Democrats that makes the swing to the right of 2024 look like child's play.
And this time, the benefits are just gone. Starting November 1st, people on SNAP are no longer getting help with their groceries. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, which runs SNAP, actually has billions of dollars in contingency funds that they could use to keep SNAP going for at least another month. They've done that in previous shutdowns, but they're not doing it in this one. And I think the only person who could have made that decision is the person who has consolidated so much of this country's power around him. The USDA could fund SNAP.
Trump.
Governors could fund SNAP with state funds. Congress could fund SNAP with an emergency measure. And there is a faction in American politics right now that is especially aligned with the Trump wing of the GOP that doesn't just want to cut government. They fundamentally distrust it. They see large parts of it, especially social programs like SNAP, not as a solution, but as a problem. Still, other parts of the government are a deep state, an unelected bureaucracy that opposes their power. And if you believe that, then obviously a government shutdown would look to you like maybe a bit of a good thing and maybe an opportunity. When talking about whether federal workers would receive back pay, Trump said, there are some people that don't deserve to be taken care of. He has selectively suspended infrastructure.
Trump has always told you what he is. There's a phrase, and this phrase, I started hearing it a lot when I was like 15. Believe people when they tell you what they are. Nobody is willing to believe Trump when he tells them what he is. Trump tells them what he is every day, and his supporters refuse to believe him, which is ironic considering they believe literally everything else he says. Melissa Mitrevsky, thank you for the $5 dues. I appreciate that. Is it safe to say the Republicans want to start a civil war so they can sick the military on Americans? No, I don't think so. I think that was their goal, like start civil war and take over when they were out of power. But while they're in power, I think their goal is just to make up a narrative that there is a civil war where it doesn't exist, invoke the Insurrection Act, and then call in the National Guard and U.S. military to start mowing down civilians in the street who march against Trump. Like, if Trump could have a day of the rope against everybody on the street protesting him, he would call for it in a heartbeat if he thought he could do it and get away with it easily.
Spending, targeting only blue states. And in that vacuum, we ask food banks and volunteers and nonprofits and churches to step in, which they do heroically. But from what I have heard from people who I've talked to in this space, they simply will not be able to fill that gap. And of course, the communities with the least are going to be the ones with the least capacity to bridge that gap. Cutting off SNAP hurts the whole country. It hurts retailers, farmers, grocery stores. It pulls money out of local economies. This is very bad. SNAP costs about $100 million a year, but it would cost way more than that to replace it because it's a very efficient program. And to some people, I think that feels a little off. Like, it might seem like this should be local. It should be community-based. It should be local food banks. It should be churches. It should be Meals on Wheels.
That sounds good, but then when you think about it for a second, you go, oh wait, some communities are way more capable of accommodating that than others. It should be a federal system because the federal government has access to infinitely more money than a local community has. And sometimes you need an infinite well of money to tap into when the goal is to make sure Americans don't go hungry.
Maybe they should be doing all of this work instead of some big, giant federal government bureaucracy. But the more I talked to my friend about this, the more I felt like, oh my God, SNAP is actually a really amazing program. And I also realized, you know what? You know a lot more about this than I do. And she, honestly, unsurprisingly, dropped everything and was like, yes, I will come and talk to you on the record. So everybody, here's Jeannie Hunter, Tennessee Regional Director of the Society of St. Andrew. I have told...
So this is the part that I talked about before in this video. I highly recommend you guys go and you watch this part of the video in your own time. But we're going to watch the outro bit from Hank because he also summarizes some things that are important about this story, particularly giving an update on the news that is relevant to today. I know her. Hell yeah, Corpse Woman. Yeah, she's awesome. I highly recommend you check out the full interview they have. The link to the original video will be down below in the description, so go check it out when this releases on YouTube. If you're watching this in the future, you can watch that missing bit, because I don't want to steal Hank's whole video, you know. But let's watch this last bit here.
The endhunger.org. Yep, very easy website.
Nice.
And
well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Probably a cash donation to them also couldn't hurt.
True.
This is what I get for making a video about the news. You may have heard, and hope if you haven't, here's the news, that a judge has said that they have to release the funds. So the funds are there, and they can continue to fund SNAP, and so they must, according to a federal judge. The New York Times headline about this says, uncertainty persists for Americans waiting for monthly food stamps. So do we know if the funds are going to show up on people's cards? The government has said, oh, we don't have enough to do the whole month. And President Trump said that the administration would provide the funding for food stamps in November once a federal court could clarify how we can legally supply the money. But indicated that...
So it is worth noting, things are looking somewhat more positive. I have a friend who uses the SNAP program, and she told me that on her app, because there's like a phone app for it, on her app it said that for a while it said you will not be receiving any SNAP benefits in the month of November because of the shutdown. Apparently the notification has been updated to say there may just be a delay, and they'll keep us updated on the situation. So I'm assuming that right now, the USDA is working hard to try and find a way to end up delivering on the benefits they promised for the month of November. From what I heard, they actually disabled the SNAP machines, but I could be wrong. The SNAP app? Yeah, the SNAP app. There's either like a website or an app. I just know there's like a notification on there that says it may just be delayed. So apparently things are looking a little brighter right now, but for all I know, it might have already been updated to say no benefits will be coming in November, sorry. I don't know, but as of last night, it was looking more positive.
That a delay nonetheless would be inevitable. And we have no idea what's going on. We seem to never have any idea what's going on anymore. Critics say that the benefits were endangered because the Trump administration was unwilling to draw upon reserves that had been set aside to fund SNAP during emergencies. And considering how previous shutdowns have gone, that seems correct to me. The Trump administration has said that there are legal obstacles and technical hurdles standing in the way of its ability to deploy the funds. A judge from the U.S. District Court of the District for Massachusetts expressed skepticism about that. So it seems a little like we don't know whether they're going to release the funds or whether they're going to pretend like they can't. Also, Jeannie asked me to add this because it can be confusing. WIC, which is for pregnant mothers and babies under 5, that is unaffected by this, and those benefits will continue to happen. The need remains desperate, and even if funding comes through, that contingency funding may dry up because, again, this shutdown seems different. And the other piece of news this morning is that Speaker Mike Johnson has, again, postponed a vote on whether to reopen the government. I mean,
They have to. They absolutely must. It is political suicide for them if they allow the government to reopen. Congress will vote, the Epstein files will release, and the Republicans will be destroyed, along with Trump. Trump is like the Republican Party's Horcrux. They basically just made one Horcrux where they put all of their collective souls and power into. And now if Trump goes, if he's politically destroyed especially, like if his legacy is destroyed in such a thorough way, their whole party legacy gets annihilated. Trump is the most Republican GOP president there has ever been. He is the most Republican. He epitomizes their movement. If he is outed by the Epstein files, their movement gets outed. It would be, oh my God, it would be world-changing if Trump got outed as a pedophile by the Epstein files. Yes, it's already known, like in public, like people should already know he is a pedophile. It's already been proven. But the Epstein files have enough attention that if they release, and it says what we know it says, people will actually take it seriously.
I didn't quite get to this in the intro, and now it's the morning, and so how am I gonna be more articulate about it now? But I just think that there is some reason why we can't do anything anymore. Like, what is actually different about this shutdown? Like, from as unbiased a perspective as I can see it, is that no one would get rewarded for capitulating to the other. Like, I, as a Democrat, I'm like, don't capitulate to these people. They are centralizing power around a guy. They do not listen to the law. ICE has become like President Trump's personal police force, which is very not how America should work. There's a constitution and which has separation of powers because it's a good idea and we're ignoring it. And so why would I want my party to capitulate? Why would I want them to say, yeah, this budget as written is I guess fine, we just need this thing to open back up? Or should we fight for something? And if it's something,
I don't know. It might be the best move to do whatever it takes to get the government open back up just so they can get the Epstein files released. Trump could legitimately get impeached by the House and Senate if the Epstein files drop. I don't think anything has ever had a higher chance of pulling it off. Keep in mind, these the people there would want to be, they would be the victims of their own supporters if they did not give in and participate in the vote to impeach Trump if he was found to be on the Epstein files. The pressure would be astronomical. Their own elections would be on the line. Sure, Trump might try and get them primaried, but they'll probably win their primary if they do what their voters want them to do. But if they protect Trump after it turns out he's in the Epstein files, that could be career-ending for them. And I don't think any of these people are so loyal to Trump, they'd throw away their political career for him. Trump might have made their political career, but I don't think they're grateful enough to throw it away for him. They're not that kind of people.
Yes, it should be the healthcare subsidies. But then what incentives do the Republicans have for giving in? Nothing. President Trump says he sees this shutdown as an opportunity. Everybody knows that if you cross President Trump, there's a really good chance that you're going to get primaried, and that's going to be miserable, and you might lose. It's like they want nothing to work. It's like they want people to lose faith in the whole system, because if you lose faith in the system, then maybe one man can fix it. I know that a lot of people don't see it that way, but it just feels exactly like manipulative boyfriend behavior. Like, I have to destroy your relationship with everything so that all power can flow through me. And I really hope that this blows up not just in like the sort of MAGA sphere's face, but in everybody's face. Because there are reasons why it's like this, and if those reasons change, this country could be way better. That would be way less stressful for everybody, and also better at solving problems. I think there's a bunch of different things. I think there's a bunch of different things all stacked up on each other right now. And it's everything from the way the algorithms of social media platforms work, it's gerrymandering, it's cable news, it's the intensity of the sort of deregulated, market-driven way that our attention economy works. So there's a reason why the government shutdown is different. And that's because Republicans and Democrats, like, no one benefits from like working together. But there are also reasons why that reason exists. And I would love...
Like, Republicans do not want to work with Democrats because the Republicans' goal is to destroy the Democrats. Their goal is not to help Americans. Like, the Republicans are never going out of their way and just taking up causes within the Capitol to try and do something they think would help their voters, their, like, block of voters, their American supporters. They never do anything that's, like, meant to help them. They never, like, pass some bill that's meant to, like, fund infrastructure in rural communities, for instance, right? They're never doing anything to help their voters. They get into office on false promises and culture warrior nonsense, and then while in office, everything they do is a political stunt designed to epically own the Democrats. But at no point they're always fighting against some move the Democrats are doing that helps Americans. They're never actually trying to fund or vote on bills that would create laws or programs that benefit Americans, not even their own voters. The most they'll do is, fiddle around with tax policy to be more beneficial to their donors, their wealthy billionaire donors.
To hear from you out there what you think the reasons why that reason exists are. I have my thoughts. I've given you a few of them. But that I think is the thing that we need to be going after. And I think that a big part of it is the misery machine. It is the misery business.
True. That
is so much of social media. And so much of cable news. And so much of the news media. Haley Williams, man. She knows what she's talking about.
True. Well, folks, I really like Hank Green. I'm never disappointed by him. His takes are always so correct. He's a smart guy. He's achieved a lot. I have immense respect for him. I always love seeing him come out to have the correct political take on things, which makes sense considering he's a well-educated person. Reality has a liberal bias, after all. So, I'm really happy to see that he is talking about this, bringing attention to the fact that it is definitely the Republicans maliciously enjoying the fact that there is a shutdown that is causing this. The reason why the government is not back up, SNAP isn't getting funded, it's not because of the Democrats, it is transparently the fault of Republicans. That is the kind of rhetoric we need right now, and I am damn proud of our boy, Hank Green, for having the good take. Anyway, if you liked this video, consider leaving a like, a hype, and a comment. They really do help to boost the channel a lot. My streams, my videos, and they force my stuff to get pushed in the algorithm more, and it's totally free. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more from me, and with that said, I hope to see you again soon.